we would like to welcome Ms. Susan Gu, President, South African Tourism, North America.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our second annual Ubuntu Awards. What a great night. As I start, I'd like you all just to give yourself a round of applause for making it tonight. We are so thrilled that you could come. This is one evening in our calendar that we set aside to pay respects to you. 280,000 Americans traveling to South Africa is not a small feat. And so we want to say thank you to you, and in the spirit of Ubuntu, which is I am because you are, in the spirit that no man is an island, and as South African tourism and as South Africa, we wanted to take this evening to make you happy and just make you sit back and let you know how much we appreciate you and how much we are grateful for the work that you have done. His Excellency Mr. Ibrahim Rasool, Ambassador of South Africa to the United States, and Mrs. Rasool, the Honorable Martinus van Schalkwyk, Minister of Tourism, His Excellency Mr. Baso Sango, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of South Africa to the United Nations, and Mrs. Sango, Mr. George Monyemangene, Consul General of South Africa in New York, Ambassador Nomvume Pelma Gaka, Consul General of South Africa in Chicago, Mr. Cyril Ndaba, Consul General of South Africa in Los Angeles, Ambassador Kingsley Makubela, Consul Director General at the Department of Tourism, Ambassador Thandiwe January McLean, Chief Executive of South African Tourism in Johannesburg, Mr. Sunil Gulati, President of US Soccer, and Mrs. Gulati, Mr. Peter Greenberg, Master of Ceremonies tonight, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to welcome you all here tonight, and thank you once again for taking the time to be with us. We are truly delighted that you obviously took the time to join us, and without further ado, I'm going to introduce to you our new ambassador, new in the sense that it's the first time that all of us as the tourism trade get to see him and perhaps get to hear him speak. His Excellency Ambassador Rasool, who is in Washington, based in Washington, and he has taken the time with Mrs. Rasool to come up and be with us. Just a little bit on Ambassador Rasool. Ambassador Rasool has a long history of involvement in the anti-apartheid struggle, starting at high school and including leadership in the United Democratic Front and the African National Congress. He has spent time in prison and been held under house arrest. His social and political involvement has consistently been faith-driven. He has been involved in both the Islamic movement as well as the interfaith movement, and has been active in mobilizing Muslims and the broader faith communities for a deeper understanding of Islam and the faith under the conditions of oppression, under apartheid, and currently under conditions of globalization. Ambassador Rasool acquired extensive experience in government as head of various departments, including health, welfare, finance, and economic development. As Premier of the Western Cape, which is the province where Cape Town is, he was instrumental in attracting foreign investment into the province with about 8 billion rands, which is approximately $1 billion US, achieving the highest provincial economic growth rate and making significant strides towards realizing the Millennium Development Goals. For his contribution to South Africa, Ambassador Rasool has been the recipient of a number of leadership awards. In 2008, he was awarded the Visionary Leadership and Public Good Award from the World Congress of Muslim Philanthropists, and the Award for Commitment and Leadership in Fight Against Crime from Business Against Crime. In 2005, the London Financial Times awarded Ambassador Rasool the Foreign Direct Investment Africa Personality of the Year Award. There's so much that Ambassador Rasool has done that is amazing as a leader in South Africa, and now having him here representing South Africa in the United States. And ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Ambassador Rasool to bring his greetings. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Stu. That's a long introduction for someone who must introduce probably our main guest this evening. I'm here to introduce not only my Minister of Tourism, but a friend. And that's what I will do. But in doing so, I must say that it is probably one of the most wonderful sights that I've seen since arriving in the USA, to see the entire tourism community from the USA being here and coming here to crown so much of the good work that you have done over the last few years, and certainly over 2010. And that's why I think it is fitting that one of our main guests is Mr. Sunil Gulapi, in order that we can understand the role that soccer had played. I want to say that your importance is underscored by the huge protocol list that Stu had read out. And so without repeating the names, I want to say that the fact that we have not just the minister here, but the Director General, that we have the CEO of South African Tourism, that we have our ambassador to the United Nations, our Consul General in New York, our Consul General from Los Angeles, our Consul General from Chicago, and so many South Africans here, I think says that this is probably the greatest appreciation and tribute that South Africa can pay to this community. Because what looks to you like a sales pitch is the lifeblood for many, many families in South Africa. What looks to you like logistical arrangements that you make to transfer people from various places in the United States to find their way to South Africa. What's logistical to you is, for us, the mainstay of our economy. And so tonight has to have the element of celebration, but for us, it is our sense of repaying the commitment that you show every day in pitching South Africa as a destination, and the work that you do to turn inquiry into a ticket. And that really for us is why we stand here with grateful hearts to say to you, thank you very much, and to recognize the efforts that you make. I want to say to you that there is no better person to come and recognize you than our Minister of Tourism. I have had, let me use the neutral term, the opportunity to work both against Minister van Schalkwyk, because we both led parties in a province that both our parties wanted us to win. And that province is the Western Cape. Between Minister van Schalkwyk and myself, we are subjectivity personified when we proclaim that to be the most beautiful and exquisite province anywhere in South Africa, if not in the world. I'm sure that my good friend Basu would have his own ideas, but that's why he's in the United Nations and I'm in the USA. We can propound our ideas to whoever we want to. So I've had the opportunity to work against him, and then when we're tired of knocking each other on election campaigns, we decided that we will work with each other. And therefore I've had the pleasure to work with him. And I want to say to you, it is far better to work with him than to work against him. And that has ushered in that golden period which Stu had spoken about, where we rode the wave of tourism figures, of foreign direct investment, of growth rates in that province, because it was built on an example of leadership that Minister van Schalkwyk was able to give as Premier, or as you call it, Governor, in that province. And I was absolutely delighted to serve as his Minister of Finance in that province. Very soon, he vacated that to go and do two things. The things that he loved, namely the environment, and the thing that he's good at, namely tourism. And as 2010 approached, it was decided by our leadership in the country that he should concentrate and focus on the thing that he's good at. Because 2010 was going to be the most important challenge for the tourism industry that we could face. It was about being able to utilize the energy that the announcement by FIFA that we would host the World Cup, to utilize that energy across the world and turn it into bums on seats on aeroplanes and later bums in stadiums. But most importantly, it is what do we do after the World Cup? How do we sustain the memory of the World Cup? How do we sustain the goodwill of the World Cup? How do we utilize the fact that suddenly you had a world who had discovered a gem? We're not looking through historical prisms at South Africa any longer. And that is where Minister van Schalkwyk's talents came in, to turn goodwill into a strategy, and to turn a strategy into an operation, and to turn an operation into jobs, growth, and prosperity in South Africa. And so, this is not a free dinner. Tonight's dinner that the Minister hosts you for with SA Tourism is to be able to say, we need to maintain that momentum. Because not only is there beauty across South Africa, but there's something good for your soul. That the world needs the working example of South Africa that has been able to do wonderful things between former adversaries. If ever the world needed an example of how to go forward, unite, reconcile, and rejuvenate people's spirits, I think South Africa offers that. And so I am absolutely delighted that Minister van Schalkwyk has chosen the United States as a key stopover in turning goodwill into strategy, strategy into operations, and operations into prosperity in South Africa by coming to the United States. For me, it says that suddenly Team South Africa, who is the ambassadors here, the consul generals here, the parastatals who are here working all the time at this, that our job has halfway been vindicated because the United States is emerging as a core market of tourism, trade, and investment. Minister van Schalkwyk, you come here tonight to give a boost to our work. More than a boost, you come to affirm our work. And more than affirm our work, you come here tonight to tell us that we matter. That this is a market that we are willing to fight for, and this is a market that we'll put our best foot forward, and this is a market that we are saying that if our job is to persuade more and more Americans to come to your offices and to fill out those forms and to buy those tickets and to get the packages going, then I think that we are on our way for a wonderful experience for ordinary citizens of the US, but great experiences for ordinary citizens of South Africa. It is an enormous pleasure to call upon Minister van Schalkwyk to come and address you.
Ambassador Rasool, thank you very much for the warm words of welcome. All our other ambassadors, consul generals, the Director General of the Department, the Chief Executive Officer of South African Tourism, the President of South African Tourism, and all our other guests of honor. Ambassador Rasool, we have a very long-standing and warm friendship. And when Stu introduced you, I listened very carefully to your CV. very impressive. But there's one little correction. And it is the 8 billion that you claim for foreign investment in the Western Cape. I think we should split that 50-50. But it was good to see you, Ambassador, hitting the ground running here in the US. You're an excellent appointment. We wish you well. When I arrived earlier in the week and after a briefing meeting, we walked to the ambassador's vehicle. I wanted to get on the side that we always get in on the South African side. So he said to me, no, Minister, on the other side. I said, no, that's your side, so I'm very happy to get on this side. And he said to me, you know, Minister, I'm now an ambassador. Let me teach you something. There's a difference between a terrorist and a protocol officer. And the difference is this: you can negotiate with a terrorist. Ladies and gentlemen, it is wonderful to be here. I still have fond memories of the function last year. Stu, it was an excellent function. And let me give you a compliment right at the beginning of the evening. You are an excellent advertisement for South African fashion. We are dressed like Englishmen or Americans tonight, so you are saving all of our reputation. We are here tonight to celebrate our success in the US market, but also to recognize excellence. And those of you who are here are really achievers. The success in this market is resounding. As a country, we just announced our figures for 2010, and we've outperformed each and every region in the world. We registered growth year on year, 2010, compared to 2009, of just over 15%. We've registered growth in all regions of the world. But the US was a very interesting picture. 23% growth, and many of those people are young Americans. So it is a good investment that we are making, because our experience as a destination is we have an exceptionally high percentage of repeat visitors. So we know that many of those young Americans coming to visit South Africa will be back, and hopefully they will bring their friends back and their family in future. I've said that we've registered growth in all the regions of the world. And those of you who are obviously interested in global trends know that the world is changing. And all of us are looking at the new emerging markets. And we're trying to understand the importance of those markets, economically, politically, but also from a tourism perspective. And we will aggressively market in those new emerging markets. But there are some of our traditional markets in the developed world who will continue to be extremely important to us. And this market is one of them. So from the point of the South African government, South African tourism, we will continue to invest in this market, marketing in this market, build relationships in this market. Now, I spent my day, I'm chairing the World Economic Forum's Aviation, Travel and Tourism Council for my sins, and we spend the day talking about reputation management. And our reputation in South Africa is extremely important to us, politically, economically, but also from a tourism perspective. We understand what we have to offer to ensure that we continue to build that reputation. And there is one cornerstone of that reputation that we understand we should never compromise. And that is the value for money, the affordability dimension of that reputation. And as an industry in South Africa, we're working extremely hard to ensure that. And those of you who work very hard to market our country, I would like you to know that and to be assured that we understand how important that is. Now, I know many of you, and I know that many of you have invested in us as a country. And we will work very closely with you to ensure that that continue to be a very profitable relationship. For us, it is about our reputation. It is about getting more people to South Africa. But for you, it is about building a career, building a business, and obviously, hopefully, making a lot of money. And a few years ago, I got the key industry leaders in South Africa together. and said to them, we don't have a measurable plan. So if we want to be successful, let us as government and private sector agree on a plan that we know exactly where we are going, what we would like to achieve, but that we are able to measure ourselves and that the public can measure us. And we have achieved all our aims by 2010. That was the target date for our first plan. And we have now just 2 weeks ago announced our new strategy and our new plan with the date, the objective of 2020. So we know exactly where we are going. So in 2020, we want 15 million foreign tourist arrivals in our country. Last year, we had 8 million. We think it is achievable. We want to increase the contribution to GDP from 200 billion per annum to 500 billion per annum. We think it is achievable. And in the process, obviously, want to create hundreds of thousands of new jobs, because this is an industry that can't afford just to have jobless growth. We can really create jobs in our industry. So that is where we are going. And this industry, the tourism industry, in the South African economy, is at the moment the fastest growing sector of our economy. In 1994, when we became a democracy, tourism was not even mentioned as a growth area. In our new national plan, it is one of the 6 focus areas. So we understand the value of tourism. It contributes around 8% of our GDP at the moment. And within a few years, we are going to push that up to double digits. It is achievable. And my good friend Peter Greenberg here will know that in developed countries, tourism just happened as an industry. In the US, for instance, there's not even a national tourism ministry or minister. Developing countries take tourism extremely serious, because for many of us, it is 35% plus of our export services, so a key part of our industry. And we understand the role that government can and should play in building that industry. So to all of you, I would like to say, let us continue to build our strong relationships. You have a reliable partner on the South African side, and we know that we have reliable partners here. And I know that later on we're going to recognize all those people who have excelled, and I would like to congratulate all of you in advance. And I would like to conclude by specifically thanking our team from South African Tourism, the CEO, the Chief Marketing Officer, and the President of South African Tourism in the US. South African Tourism is a unique organization. It is a partnership between the private sector and the public sector. We fund it, but it is so important to get the expertise of the private sector into managing the organization. And in one sentence, I can say to South African Tourism, you are doing a great job, and we are very proud of you. And then allow me one political message. We are very satisfied and proud of our role in the international world. We've just been allowed as a member of BRICS, the grouping of important emerging economies, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa now as a new member. It is an important grouping. We are now on the UN Security Council. And Ambassador, I'm glad that you are here tonight. And I would like to say to our ambassador to the UN, I think you are doing a sterling job. I conveyed the compliment to you earlier tonight. I think the second time around, we know what is required to play in that league, and you are doing us proud. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Minister, for those kind words and encouraging words for our industry. We thank you for your leadership, and we really appreciate your foresight and the strategy that you've laid out. We are pleased as South African Tourism to take it up and to put it out in the market and see the results that you have set. Ladies and gentlemen, dinner is served, and after dinner we will commence with our awards evening. Enjoy.